Greetings to everyone out there in the NoDQ galaxy. Welcome to the NoDQ live recap of WWE Super Showdown 2019. The show that was just as big, if not exceeding, WrestleMania from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in Jeddah. All right, let's go ahead and break down this show. Real quick, I would like to thank everyone for watching, whether it's live in the chat room or on demand. Even if you're a cat, I appreciate you watching the video and participating. Case in point, she's mad. I think those are mad meows. See? She was not happy with this show. She had to sit here for 4 hours with this show and she is not amused. Sassy, come over here before you ruin my video completely. All right, so the kickoff match was the Revival versus the Usos. Of course, the Usos, they always got to be on the kickoff because that's what they're all about. They're all about being on the kickoff. Michael Cole brought up how the temperature there in Jeddah was over 100 degrees, or at least felt like over 100 degrees. It was probably like in the 90s, but being in the stadium with all the people had to feel quite hot. So Michael Cole made sure to point this out time and time again throughout the show. One interesting thing about this pay-per-view that was different from the other Saudi Arabia shows, the actual WWE fans in Saudi Arabia got to buy ringside tickets. It wasn't the usual case of where all the government officials were at ringside. You had the fans there at ringside, which made for a little bit better atmosphere. Not much, but a little bit better. Caleb Jacobs, for the first $2 super chat of the night, says, in my opinion, it should have been Taker and Sting. Let me do it in Dolph Ziggler's voice. It should have been Undertaker and Sting. Okay, there you go. Power Packers 90 with the $2 super chat says, 50-year-old men hurting each other okay, yet women not okay. Ouch. I think that's the savage line of the night so far, and we're just getting started here. Thank you for that, Power Packers 90. Sassy, come over here. Sassy, get over here. Come here. You want to make a cameo? Do you want to make a cameo? Come on, come up here. Say hi to Sassy, everybody. She's making her cameo, so you guys might be hearing her during the video. She's usually not this vocal, so she just must be angry about this show, having to sit here for 4 hours while I'm posting on NoDQ.com and Twitter, and she's being ignored. So I don't blame her for being frustrated. Ernie Eastman, are there any call-ins? Probably not, but maybe I'll try at the end. We'll see, but no promises with that. I may do a NoDQ&A live either tomorrow night or Sunday night. I'm thinking about it. So anyways, back to the Usos versus the Revival. Not much to say about it. It was your straightforward kickoff match. The Usos did, in fact, score the victory with a bunch of super kicks, dual super kicks, and Jimmy Uso scored the pinfall. I'm not sure which member of the Revival lost, but it really didn't matter all that much. So we even got 50-50 booking on this show because later on during the Battle Royal, the Revival eliminated the Usos. So there you go. You got your 50-50 booking anyways. It's not like it really mattered who won the kickoff match because the Revival just eliminated the Usos earlier. So there you go. And they're exactly the same. They're exactly equal. All right, let's move on here to the main card. Mike B with the $2 super chat says, Sassy may be hungry, .. / the thinking face. Well, thank you for that, Mike B. I can go out now and buy her some food, get her a couple of cans of cat food to settle her down. She may be hungry. I mean, yeah, she could be pissed off about the pay-per-view, but she's probably just hungry. So, we had the first match of the pay-per-view, which was for the Universal Championship. How about this? When was the last time, I might need some of you trivia experts to help me with this. When was the last time we had a Universal title match open a pay-per-view? Now, was it WrestleMania? Okay, thank you, Michael Wayne. It was WrestleMania, so yeah, so much for that, trying to say, oh, it's been a while. It was, in fact, WrestleMania, so literally just 2 months ago. Seth Rollins defending the Universal Championship against Baron Corbin. This was just a match, not much to say about it. Crowd did not care about it very much. They did like Seth Rollins' intro, but once the match got going, the crowd was pretty dead. Baron Corbin was introduced as Jeddah's favorite son by Greg Hamilton with the index card. Corbin was complaining to the referee about slow counts, and then out of frustration, Corbin brought in a chair to the ring and was going to use it, but the referee's like, no, you cannot use a chair during a match. Corbin yelled at the referee some more, and then the referee started yelling back at him. That's when Seth Rollins took the opportunity to roll up Corbin to score the victory. After the match, we had Baron Corbin lay out Rollins with the end of days. So you know what this meant. We had Brock Lesnar come out with the Money in the Bank contract, and then they were getting in the ring. Paul Heyman ended up tripping while going into the ring, and while Brock Lesnar was distracted by that, Rollins hit a low blow on Lesnar and then started destroying Lesnar with the steel chair. Rollins kept yelling at Lesnar, daring him to cash it in, continued using the chair and said, "How does it feel, you big dumb son of a bitch?" And then Seth Rollins hit the stomp to Lesnar on the Money in the Bank briefcase. So Brock Lesnar did not, in fact, cash in Money in the Bank during this Universal Championship match or afterwards. Did he cash it in later? You have to stay tuned for that. Tony H with a $2 super chat says, Saudi show was good shit. Signed, Vinnie Mac. Nicely played there, Tony H. I really did not care much about this match, and to make matters worse, WWE's just doing a rematch at the next pay-per-view, Stomping Grounds. It's going to be Baron Corbin versus Seth Rollins again. Why? Why do we have to see a rematch with these guys? I mean, it's a friggin' throwaway pay-per-view. I guess that's why. But, I mean, why even invest in these matches if WWE's just going to do a bunch of rematches later? I thought this was supposed to be as great or exceeding WrestleMania, yet these matches were so unimportant, WWE's just doing rematches 2 weeks later. So whatever. All right, let's move on to the next match, which was Andrade versus the Demon Finn Balor. I'll tell you what, this was a pretty good match. However, I didn't care about it because of everything I talked about over the past week or so. Finn Balor got beat down by Andrade heading into the match. Now, if it wasn't already announced in advance that Balor was going to be the Demon, I would have been fine with this. But going into this match, way in advance, WWE announced Balor would be the Demon. So pretty much, you just take that check mark and you're going with Balor to win. It was blatantly obvious he wasn't losing this match. So that really took the excitement level out of it for me because I could not suspend disbelief that Andrade had any chance of winning whatsoever. Mike B with the $2 super chat says, it's Vinny rematch McMahon. There you go. I like it. Good shit, pal. That was one problem with the match. The fact that it was painfully obvious Balor was winning this. Now, the second problem is that the crowd did not give a shit about this match. It was like you could hear a pin drop in the stadium. Balor had a cool entrance. The crowd did like the entrance. You had several extras that were helping out Balor with his demon entrance. The entrance was cool. And the match was good. I mean, the match was really well done by both guys. They were busting their asses here. The problem is that nobody cared. You had no Zelina Vega out there to help get some heat for the match. Balor kicked out of the hammerlock DDT and then won with the coup de grace. So yeah, the match was good, but predictable with the booking, and the crowd didn't care. So those two factors really brought this down a lot, in my opinion. What could have been a really good pay-per-view match on another show with better booking was forgettable here. Edgar with the $2 super chat. Thank you for that, Edgar. He says, this pay-per-view proved why AEW will take over WWE. Well, what happens if this ever happens? Say, let's just throw it out there. What would happen if like Saudi Arabia or a very wealthy country offered AEW a lot of money, but AEW had to change up what they usually do to satisfy that country? Would they do it? Or would they say, no, we're all about the fans. We're doing this for the fans and for the wrestlers. So something to keep in mind. Like, what is AEW's price? Like, how long will they do the fan-friendly product until they get so big that they're like, well, we don't need the fans anymore. We can do whatever the hell we want. So that's another thing to consider too with this whole AEW thing, if they do in fact get as big as we're hoping they get. I mean, how long can they say we're going to be fan-friendly and keep it going? So time will tell on that. That'll be very interesting. But they got a ways to go before they get to that level, I think. Moving on here to the next match, we had Roman Reigns versus Shane McMahon. Maybe the most shocking thing that happened on this entire show was the finish of this match. So pretty much everybody on the NoDQ panel went with Roman Reigns to win. I mean, Shane got the best of Roman on Raw. He got the best of him on SmackDown. Roman Reigns is the big dog. It's hard to bet against Roman Reigns. You have all these reasons to pick Roman Reigns. Shane's already beaten Miz several times. Shane has been looked very strong over the past several months. And you're setting up Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre. So why does Shane need the win here? Josh Mansfield with the $2 super chat says, called Shane winning. I'm 9-1 for the night. Well, good job, Josh Mansfield. I mean, I think you're maybe the only person that's been on a NoDQ video that predicted Shane. I'm not sure. Maybe a couple other people did. I'm not really sure. Shane McMahon had the usual entrance, best in the world. And then we had Drew McIntyre also with an entrance. Crowd liked Roman Reigns with the entrance, but again, there wasn't a whole lot of crowd heat for this match. Actually, you could hear people chanting CM Punk during this match. Maybe that was the problem. Maybe WWE's regretting letting the hardcore fans sit at ringside because the CM Punk chants, because the rest of the building was so quiet, the hardcore fans could chant CM Punk and it could come across as very audible on TV. Even though it was pretty clear that only maybe a dozen fans were chanting it. Because they were at ringside, it picked up on the mics and it was very audible on television. Drew McIntyre kept interfering during the match. He would take cheap shots when the referee wasn't looking. Reigns would go after him later, hit a Superman punch. And then Shane hit a spear on Roman Reigns, but Reigns kicked out. Reigns then hit a Superman punch to Shane off the top rope. Shane was up there on the top. And then the referee inadvertently got knocked down during the match. Drew McIntyre came in, hit a Claymore out of nowhere, and then Shane McMahon scored the pinfall victory over Roman Reigns. That's right. Shane McMahon beat Roman Reigns. What is going on here? Why is Shane getting this epic push all of a sudden? And I would hate to be the guys in the locker room. WWE is investing all this time in booking Shane McMahon stronger than just about anybody. Like, why? Why not give this push to, like, Drew? Why not have Drew with Shane McMahon interfering? Drew beats Roman Reigns. Why are you doing this ass backwards? I don't get it. You could build up a new star by having him beat Roman Reigns, even if it's with interference. Why does Shane McMahon get the victory here? What is this accomplishing? Who's going to get the rub off of Shane McMahon? I mean, I don't understand it. I mean, I know why. He's Vince's son, but still. So there you go. Maybe it's just because he really is the best in the world. Shane McMahon, best in the world, and that's why he's got to go over every pay-per-view. And by the way, this is the most Shane McMahon has wrestled on pay-per-view in his entire career. I believe this is 6 pay-per-views in a row which surpasses 2001. So yeah, this is like a career renaissance for Shane McMahon. Maybe Vince sees big money in this kid. I don't know. Power Packers 90 with a $2 super chat says, Shane has gone over and over in every segment since February. Pretty much, Power Packers 90. I think that's a fair assessment. Next up, we had Lars Sullivan versus the Lucha House Party. What the heck was going on with this match? This one was so easy. Nobody cares about the Lucha House Party. They're enhancement guys. Let's be real here. You have Lars Sullivan, a guy you could potentially build up as a monster. One would think you're trying to build him up as a monster at least. You have Lars Sullivan destroy these guys. Quick match. Demolition Derby. He just beats the crap out of them. Maybe they get a little flurry of offense, but you make it a quick 3-minute match. Lars Sullivan destroys all three of them. Easy, right? Well, guess what? Didn't happen here. Walter Cruz with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that, Walter. Says, if you want to catch up on sleep, watch this show, ZZZ. I mean, yeah, this show was overall pretty boring for the most part. I mean, there's really not a whole lot I can recommend you guys checking out, but we still have a little bit more to discuss here, so maybe I'll remember something that I'm already forgetting about. Lars Sullivan got busted open in the mouth from somebody. Seems to be a recurring thing with Lucha House Party members hurting poor Lars Sullivan. And I'm guessing, you know, that doesn't look good for Sullivan to get busted open by these guys because it's making his character look weak. So I don't know what's going on here, if they're stiffing the guy, maybe because of his comments. Just speculation on my part, but it's kind of odd now. This is at least twice now that Sullivan has gotten busted open by these guys. I'm not sure if it was Kalisto this time or not. I'm not even sure what the spot was, actually. Crowd was really quiet for this one. I mean, probably quieter than anything else on the show up to this point. Corey Graves was even like, and I quote, a hush has fallen over the stadium due to the destruction of Lars Sullivan. Yeah, the crowd was just so shocked by what they were seeing that they were dead silent, not making any noise at all. They just didn't give a shit about this match, bottom line. And then we had something really bizarre here. The three Lucha House Party members, they were tagging in and out during the match, but then they started working together 3-on-1. Most of the time, like every other match, you have guys illegally coming in the ring. There's a big brawl with, 4 guys in the ring, 2 guys working on one. Never a DQ, except for this time. OG85, we got to put you in timeout. It's not cool to be spamming in there. I message received, but yeah, put him in timeout, guys. Lars Sullivan ended up beating these guys up afterwards. They got DQ'd. Lars Sullivan got beat down a little bit, and then they took off, and then when they were walking back up the ramp, Sullivan attacked them, beat them up. But, I mean, what the hell? This was just a mess. This was ass backwards again and unnecessary. Just have Sullivan beat these guys. Why are you protecting Lucha House Party? I don't understand it. Mike B with a $2 super chat says, EC3 greater than Lars Sullivan. Well, not necessarily. I don't understand why Sullivan, this was his first main roster match, by the way, officially. Why not just have them destroy these guys? Simple as that. I mean, I guess it could have been worse. I guess he could have lost. But still, just go all the way. You're trying to push Lars Sullivan as a monster. Let him be a monster. If you are trying to protect Lucha House Party for some ungodly reason, then don't book the match in the first place. To quote Noah Foster, simple as that. Next up, we had the Battle of the Legends, Triple H versus Randy Orton. Triple H, he's got to look cool to all the young people out there. He's got to be the cool dad. He had his big motorcycle entrance. Looked more like something out of Aces and Eights than anything else, like coming out there with the little handkerchief over his face, bandana, whatever it is, with the skull on it and the motorcycle. I mean, total aces and eights knockoff. Of all the things to rip off, you rip off TNA. Yeah, good job there, Triple H. And here's a question. So at the next AEW pay-per-view, are we going to have Cody Rhodes destroy a motorcycle? I don't think we will. I mean, that would really just be ridiculous. But I think this was a one-time thing he did with the throne. But yeah, still, the motorcycle thing was goofy to me. Like, it's been done already. Not very unique. The match itself was okay, I guess. Very slow-paced, but that's fairly typical for Triple H matches. They're very slow and methodical. The problem is that he's getting older, Randy Orton's getting older, and we're in an era now where the matches are much more fast-paced. So this match just looks completely out of place. It reminds me of like a very old, aging rock band doing their nostalgia show. They're a show of their former selves, but they're going out there and they're doing their whole thing. Their old routine that you used to watch 20 years earlier, and the crowd's into it because of the nostalgia. I mean, this was basically, in 2000 when Hulk Hogan wrestled Ric Flair on Nitro. Two old guys trying to relive their past, and yeah, the match got a pretty good reaction with the live crowd, but for the viewers at home, it was pretty boring. The live crowd was into this more than anything else earlier on the show. I mean, they were definitely enjoying the star power of this match, chanting "this is awesome," but they really weren't doing that much. I mean, it was your very basic stuff, Orton doing the chin locks, Orton hitting the RKO, Triple H kicking out, Triple H hitting the pedigree, Orton kicking out, Triple H slammed Orton on the announce table a couple of times, actually 4 times, so that's more than a couple, and then Orton hits an RKO out of nowhere. That was pretty much it, and some rest holds in between, and, a lot of just stalling for time. If you want to watch a really good Triple H and Randy Orton match, go back and watch their 2007 No Mercy Last Man Standing match. That was their best match. That was one you should watch. If you want to watch Triple H and Randy Orton, go watch that, not this. I mean, there was really nothing to this match whatsoever. They were pretty much just relying on nostalgia to get through. Next up, we had Braun Strowman versus Bobby Lashley. Again, not much to this. This was basically a Raw match, a glorified Raw match. Bobby Lashley had a platform that he was doing his posing on. It got destroyed by Braun Strowman as Strowman was making his entrance. Strowman threw it off the stage. Two of them did a test of strength. Lashley hit the running power slam, again using the other guy's move, but Strowman kicked out. Strowman made a comeback, did the bum rushes, hit a power slam. Lashley kicked out of that. And then Strowman hit 2 more power slams and was able to put away Bob the Lash, the Destroyer, the Almighty, whatever the hell he's called now. Caleb Jacobs with a $2 super chat. Thank you for Caleb. Thank you, Caleb, for that. Evolution has literally passed them by. Nicely played there, Caleb. I like it. So yeah, this was another pretty boring, forgettable match. Not much else to say about it. And then for the WWE Championship, we had Kofi Kingston versus Dolph Ziggler. Thankfully, we had no record scratch from Mr. Ziggles. Michael Cole mentioned that the two of them have faced off before for every championship except for the Universal Championship. Walter Cruz with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much for that, Walter. He says, the effort shown on this show proves WWE only did it for the money. Yeah, I mean, let's be real here. I mean, we knew this going in. We knew it with the previous 2 shows. It's all about the money. And there's really nothing else to say. Like, you watch this show and WWE's just putting together this show because Saudi Arabia is paying them a fortune for it. WWE's literally making more money from this show than they're making from WrestleMania. So, yeah, WWE's going to give Saudi Arabia whatever they want. If they want the old guys, they're going to get the old guys. If they want a battle royal, they're going to get a battle royal. If they want a certain person to win a match, they're going to get a certain person winning the match. If they don't want women, they're not getting women. So there was talk and speculation the past few days that Saudi Arabia might actually give in and let WWE do a women's match on this show. It got so far to that point that Natalya and Alexa Bliss were actually flown into Saudi Arabia. They were flown into Jeddah for this show. I think they did some PR work for WWE, so at least their time wasn't completely wasted. But yeah, in the end, Saudi Arabia decided no to the women's match, no go. You know, it's their country. They do what they want, and they're calling the shots, not WWE. You would think if WWE had some balls, they'd say, we're not going to do the show unless the women are on, but, you know, there's so much money at stake, and they're not going to breach that contract. So they're going to give in to whatever Saudi Arabia wants. Not much else to say about it. It is what it is, as I like to say. So Dolph Ziggler and Kofi Kingston was fine. You know, it was a good match. Would have been a good SmackDown TV main event. I'm not sure if it was like pay-per-view quality, but it was fine. It was fine for what it was. Ziggler ended up hitting a super kick on Xavier Woods during the match. So this led to Xavier Woods taking a shot at Ziggler, and that led to Kofi Kingston hitting the Trouble in Paradise. And then afterwards, Ziggler was interviewed. He said that he outperformed Kofi, out-wrestled him, all that stuff, and said he only lost because Xavier got involved. Ziggler demanded a rematch with no interference, so he said he wants a steel cage match. Didn't we just see a steel cage match with Miz and Shane McMahon? And now we're getting another one? And we all know that these cage matches always have interference anyway, so that's just an absurd thing to say, oh, we're going to do a cage match so there's not any outside interference. Whatever. But anyways, long story short, next pay-per-view, Stomping Grounds, it's Dolph Ziggler versus Kofi Kingston again. And it's Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre again. And it's Seth Rollins versus Baron Corbin again. Pretty boring, if you ask me, but whatever. I mean, really, there's no point in watching this show because WWE's just doing the rematches in 2 weeks on a pay-per-view that's going to have a much hotter crowd. Let's be real here. They're back in the United States, and you're going to have a really hot crowd for that show, most likely. I mean, Seattle, Tacoma rarely gets pay-per-views these days, so I think they're going to have a pretty good crowd for that show. It's like, why even invest in these matches when you can just watch the next pay-per-view 2 weeks later for matches that will likely be a lot better with hotter crowds? There you go. And then we had the 50-man Battle Royal, which was quite the cluster. The This Guy Experience with the $2 Super Chat, thank you for that, says, the gifts that keep on giving, rematches for all. That should be the pay-per-view name. Let's throw out Stomping Grounds and just say it's rematches for all. WWE presents rematches for all. I like that. A pay-per-view of just rematches. WWE loves all of these concept pay-per-views. So yeah, let's just do rematches for all. I like it. And make it like the Toys R Us logo with all the multi-colors. Bingo. Great idea, This Guy Experience. And then Kayfabe Candy Ass is like, that's every pay-per-view. Pretty much. So we had this Battle Royal, 50 men. The only guys to get entrances were The Miz, Samoa Joe, Cesaro, Titus O'Neil. And Titus O'Neil only had the entrance so he could come out there and just make it clear to everyone that he learned his lesson from the greatest Royal Rumble. He's not going to slip again. It was only done for that gag and no other reason. And then Elias had an entrance. So that's 5 guys that got entrances in the 50-man Royal Rumble or Battle Royal or whatever you want to call it. Elias sang a song. He insulted everybody. And then The Miz just had enough and attacked Elias. And that led to the match getting started. First guys eliminated for trivia purposes were the Singh brothers. Authors of Pain were back in this match, in this random-ass Battle Royal. The last time somebody was randomly returning in a Battle Royal, they ended up asking for their release. I don't know if that means anything. Tim Heidenberg with a $10 super chat says, do you think WWE is misusing because he is going up against a 50-year-old instead of the younger, smaller, faster guys? Taker did not look happy after the match. I'll tell you what, Tim, I will save your question here and I will ask that at the end of the video just because I don't want to go off topic here. So thank you very much for that super chat and I will answer your question after I'm done with the review here. Titus O'Neil was hiding under the ring during the Battle Royal and he ended up sliding or reverse sliding from under the ring. And then he did eliminate the War Raiders. Before the War Raiders got eliminated, and I'll talk about Titus and the War Raiders in a second here, Authors of Pain were back, random return on a 50-man Battle Royal. They had a confrontation with the Viking Raiders and the Heavy Machinery, which did get an NXT chant from the fans. And then a little bit later on, we had Titus O'Neil eliminate both War Raiders. Nice run you guys had, War Raiders. Nice run. Revival, as I mentioned earlier, got revenge on the Usos from the kickoff. 50-50 booking, eliminating the Usos. Ali and Ricochet worked together to eliminate Samoa Joe. And then Cesaro eliminated both of them from behind when they were standing there on the apron, not paying attention. Smart baby faces there. And then we had a surprise winner, although maybe I should have called this. Quite frankly, when we did the predictions, I cared so little about this match that I did not even look up who the participants were in this match. NXT star, and he's from Saudi Arabia. He was at the Greatest Royal Rumble, introduced as a prospect. Mansoor eliminated Elias to win the Battle Royal. So the local guy goes over in Saudi Arabia. The crowd absolutely loved this. He got this huge pop from the fans. Everybody was very happy about this. So it's WWE giving Saudi Arabia a good feel-good moment for all the locals. He cut this promo talking about how he was living his dream. The crowd chanted, "You deserve it." Nice feel-good moment for him. And we'll probably never see him again. If we do see him, we'll probably see him at the next Saudi Arabia show. But if he does appear on WWE television in the States, I think he'll show up and make one appearance and then he'll be gone again. Seriously. Like, I would be shocked if this guy actually gets any kind of a decent push. Like, WWE gave him his moment and that'll be it. And Anthony, I'm talking about main roster, not NXT. I'm talking about him being like on Raw or SmackDown. I could see him like making literally one appearance and then disappearing, and there's no follow-up with him. Although I like Walter Cruz's idea, Mansoor and Ali should be a tag team. I mean, if WWE was actually going to do something with the tag teams, that would be, you know, a pretty good idea. But I would be shocked if he gets any kind of a decent push on Raw or SmackDown. I mean, I definitely would. I mean, if you're going to have the guy win in the first place, you might as well use him now. But I feel like nothing's ever going to happen with him again. All right, so now we move on to the main event. Here we go. Undertaker versus Goldberg. Good old Whisker Biscuit. I did keep track of the entrances and the match time, and I wasn't quite accurate. I went on Twitter and said they'll probably have 5 to 10 minute entrances, although I was right about Undertaker. Undertaker's was 6 minutes and 4 seconds. Goldberg's was a little bit shorter, 4 minutes, 21 seconds from the start of his music to the end of his music. I was saying like 5 to 10 minutes for the entrance, and the match would be like 5 minutes tops. They ended up going 8.5 minutes. So a little bit longer than I expected. The entrances were really cool. Of course, WWE bringing back pyro for these events. Goldberg's entrance was really cool. Goldberg looked to be cosmetically in great shape for somebody his age. So hats off to Goldberg for getting in tip-top shape. You know, you don't see a lot of 50-plus-year-old guys looking like Goldberg did. So hats off to him. Curtis Butler with a $2 super chat says, the AARR or the AARP match from hell. Nice one, Curtis Butler. Nice one indeed. So, oh, wait a second here. Matt087 with a $5 super chat says, there was more life in those fireworks at the end of the show than those two had in all the match, and also way too many botches. Yeah, I mean, definitely a lot of botches in this match. AARP is like one of those discounts you get when you turn 60. So that's what that reference is, Michael Wayne. Once you're old enough, you qualify for AARP. I'm not even that sure what it is exactly. It's some kind of discount or financial benefit you get when you turn a certain age. And Kayfabe Candy Ass says, this isn't a sport for 50-year-olds. Well, yeah, but when money's involved, when it's all about the money, I'll talk about this in a minute here, get more into it. So the two of them had a stare down, and I'm surprised they didn't milk this longer. Like, they could have like just dragged this out for like 2 minutes, and it was a relatively short stare down. OG85 with a $2 super chat says, Aaron, I'm not a spam. I just wanted to help. Not a problem, OG, and I appreciate the super chat. It's just because you kept repeating the comment over and over again in the chat room. So that's why we had to put you in timeout. I appreciate you guys leaving comments and everything, but please do not spam the chat room with the same message repeatedly. Just because other people are trying to read messages from others in the chat room, and it's just disrespectful to the other people in the chat room. Since, you know, everyone in the chat room's engaging in conversation with myself and with each other. So it's not cool if you're spamming the same message over and over to get your point across. So it's a general rule to everybody. And if Kayfabe Candy Ass did it, I'd say put him in timeout, even though he's a mod. So Goldberg mocked Undertaker with the rest in peace symbol, taunt, whatever you want to call it. Undertaker responded by punching Goldberg into the ropes. Goldberg came back and hit a spear on the Undertaker. Pretty much this was exactly what I thought was going to happen. Goldberg would hit a spear right out of the gate. But actually, there was more to it. Goldberg hit a second spear. So 2 spears to the Undertaker. Undertaker kicked out and then sat up. So pretty much what I expected, just a little bit different. I said, when I did the predictions, I said Undertaker would get hit with a spear and then sit up right away. So more or less that's what happened here. But it was 2 spears, a cover, and then the sit up from Undertaker. And then Paul Jackson, 1988, with a $5 super chat says, sloppiest chokeslam I have ever seen. Time for both of them to hang it up. Yeah, so we had Undertaker hit the chokeslam, and yeah, it didn't look too pretty. And then Goldberg came back. He got a heel hook on the Undertaker. Undertaker got to the ropes. I'm surprised Undertaker didn't do like Hell's Gate or some kind of submission on Goldberg. I figured, you know, they could drag a few more minutes out of that with submission holds, which we just had Goldberg doing his. Goldberg missed a spear into the turnbuckle, and he got busted open pretty bad here. Not quite as bad as Dustin Rhodes from Double or Nothing, but yeah, he got busted open. Undertaker hit the old school. He hit a tombstone pile driver, but Goldberg kicked out of that, and that looked a bit rough too, the tombstone. Then Goldberg came back, hit a third spear, and then Goldberg hit what looked more like a brain buster than a jackhammer. He was going for the jackhammer. He couldn't get him up all the way, and basically dropped Undertaker on his head. Like a brain buster, but it wasn't intended to be a brain buster. It was intended to be a jackhammer. This guy experience with a $5 super chat says, if I was Mansoor, I would have went to the Prince and asked the Prince to force WWE to get me a title match, or the deal with the Middle East and WWE is over. Well, I don't think he would do something like that, but then again, I think he would never get another opportunity in WWE if he ever did that. So WWE would definitely never use the guy if he tried to pull something like that. I don't care who you are or what country you're from. If you tried to pull that, WWE would, they'd maybe put you over in Saudi Arabia, but you would never be used again. Pretty much anybody with any credibility would never give you a job because you'd be unprofessional. You'd be considered, somebody who doesn't do what they're told to do or what they're paid to do. Callie Werta with an SEK $20 super chat donation called it the botch hammer. Thank you for that. And Tony H with a $2 super chat says, Goldberg's jackhammer is the most of Vince booking in 2019. Thank you for that. And the Game of Sin 100. Everyone's sending in the super chats now to get their 2 cents in on this. The Game of Sin 100 with a $5 super chat says, Goldberg versus Undertaker should have not happened. Weak jackhammer, weak chokeslam for the win. No more 50-year-old matches ever, please. Curtis Butler versus, what the hell am I talking about? Curtis Butler with a $2 super chat says, the slack hammer. There you go. There's another name for it. Slack hammer, botch hammer. Everyone's got a name. Michael Wayne says the brain hammer. So there you go. Undertaker, pretty much when this happened, when he hit this brain buster, time stood still. There was a moment of awkwardness. Goldberg wasn't sure what to do. He went for a cover. Undertaker kicked out, but you could kind of feel like something wasn't right here. Goldberg was just leaning down, checking on him. Undertaker then responded with a choke slam and then managed to cover Goldberg for the victory. Match time, 8 minutes, 30 seconds. Afterwards, Undertaker, his music started playing. He was standing there, and he did not look happy. He looked legitimately pissed off. He could not even keep kayfabe. Undertaker could not stay in character. He just looked really pissed and really frustrated about how things went down in that match. Finally, once the fireworks started going off, he did the Undertaker pose, but he looked really upset at the end of this show. And I think the Undertaker's expression really says it all. As W Glass 90 says, this was definitely a shoot. Undertaker did not look happy. And I don't blame him. But you know what? Maybe I do blame him because nobody forced him. Nobody told The Undertaker, you have to work in Saudi Arabia. Nobody told Goldberg, you have to work in Saudi Arabia. These guys cashed a huge check to show up in Saudi Arabia and do this match. So if Undertaker got seriously hurt, you could blame Goldberg, but it does take 2 to tango, and 2 guys that are way past their prime shouldn't be going out there and doing matches like this. Bottom line. And one of these days, somebody's going to get seriously hurt. If WWE keeps doing this, they're really going to be pushing their luck. They're really going to be testing fate, because all it takes is one accident, and somebody like Undertaker, one of the most beloved superstars in the history of wrestling, could be paralyzed or even worse. And that's going to put a really dark cloud on your industry. How much money is enough until you decide it's time to step away? Is it going to take somebody dying for WWE to stop putting these guys in the ring when they're past 50? What's the end point here? When is enough enough? Eddie Smith with a $10 super chat. Thank you for that, Eddie. I really do appreciate it. He says, I respect the effort and will from both men, but they need to retire. I'd be surprised if both of them weren't concussed after this match. No one wants to see someone get seriously injured. Exactly. Undertaker could have very easily been paralyzed there. Like, that bump looked so brutal, and he could have been paralyzed. He could have broken his neck right there. It's not worth it. Now, for these guys, the money is just so great. There have been reports that these guys are getting as much as 7 figures to do these matches. I don't know if it's that much, but these guys are not getting chump change. These guys are making, in one night, more money than a lot of people will make in 10 years. 10, 15, 20 years. So yeah, it's a lot of money, but at what cost? Let's go ahead and do the letter grade for the show. I thought it stunk. I thought it was, for the viewers, it was a waste of time. For WWE, it's a great business venture. Saudi Arabia is paying them big bucks. They're making a ton of money. Granted, they're pushing their luck. They're testing fate, but they're making money. So for WWE, it's a successful business venture. But for the rest of the world, it's an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment not just for the quality of the show, but also the fact that WWE is working with a country that won't even let Natalya and Alexa Bliss do a match on the show. Not even that. A country that will still consider being gay a crime. Like, this is the kind of country we're dealing with here. And WWE can paint a happy picture, but it's messed up. And I don't know what else to say about it. This guy Experience with a $2 super chat says, "Damn, Arron, you're getting really deep. Should be the intro." Well, thank you for that, This Guy Experience. I mean, it just sucks because you want to support this show, you want to support this brand, and they make it so difficult to do so. Like, for somebody like me that grew up with WWE, it's just heartbreaking to see guys like The Undertaker and Goldberg sell out. And it was equally as sad when Shawn Michaels did it. Like, it just really bothers me that these guys would sell their souls for another $1 million. Like, how much is enough? You guys are already multi-millionaires. Like, how much more money do you need? And if you're WWE as a corporation, how much more money do you need? When is enough enough? I mean, it just sucks. It really sucks to be a fan of this product when they do stuff like this. And on top of that, it's not even a good show. It's a watered down pay-per-view. It's a house show in a stadium with fireworks. I mean, it's not even pay-per-view quality in terms of the matches. I mean, at best, the matches were maybe like a good Raw or SmackDown match. But I wouldn't even go past good. Like, Dolph Ziggler and Kofi Kingston was good, but I wouldn't call it a great match by any stretch of the imagination. All right, so let's see what you guys thought. W Glass 90 with an F, Brian with an F, Dave P with an F, Kev Dog with a D minus, Caleb Jacobs with a D plus, TJS with a C minus, Michael Wayne with a D, and This Guy Experience with a C minus, Rude Ben with an F, Mr. Heavy Metal Hero Dude with a D. Power Packers 90 with a $5 super chat says, "Didn't watch the show, not supporting these propaganda shows." Yeah, keep in mind, as who pointed this out here? Thank you for that super chat, by the way. As iToy points out, we have 8 more years of this. WWE signed a 10-year deal with Saudi Arabia to do this show. I don't even know what letter grade to give this. Like, I thought it was garbage. I thought it was a really boring show. I have no interest in ever watching anything off of this show again. I don't want to see Goldberg and Undertaker. I don't want to see the entrances. I really don't. I have nothing. I'm just giving the show a straight F. I thought it was just a complete garbage show. Total waste of time for fans. Total just embarrassment. I really don't know what to say about it. It was embarrassing. Just a complete embarrassment. I mean, it really makes me not want to discuss wrestling, and I do this for my job. I mean, it really sucks. And it really sucks. It's embarrassing to say that I'm a fan of WWE when they put on shows like this, for all the reasons I just mentioned. It's just, I would be embarrassed to go out in public and say, yeah, I just watched this show they did in Saudi Arabia. Like, I would legitimately feel embarrassed. Chat site forums for the $2 super chat says, worst pay-per-view so far. Well, yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard to top this one. And the thing that makes it worse, too, is that I went into this show with low expectations. Like, I knew going in, this is a Saudi Arabia show. The other ones were not too good. Crown Jewel, I thought, was a pretty bad show. And this one just, I thought, was perhaps even worse. Like, I guess it could have been worse if it was like an extra hour. I mean, thankfully, it was only 4 hours and not 5. But yeah, F show. And I am looking forward to the fall when AEW starts. And despite what people think, I am not being paid by AEW. I was not at Double or Nothing. I was not part of the media for Double or Nothing. I don't care if I'm part of the media or not. I have no real interest in doing it. I just want to cover the shows, and I want them to succeed because I think it's the best for the business. And I want to see something different, and I hope AEW can keep some morality with their company and their brand. I mean, they're off to a good start, but my fear is that one of these days they're going to get too big for their bridges. I think it's great that they're open with the media, where they're letting wrestling sites and podcasts do all the interviews and be part of the whole process. I think that's great. But for how long? How long until AEW, once they get big, they're going to say, well, we don't need these people anymore, and they're going to start controlling things. I hope AEW will keep doing what they're doing, and success won't change their corporation. But in the meantime, it's good for wrestling. It's something exciting to look forward to. It's an alternative to WWE. Hats off to TNT. Hats off to everybody involved. And maybe heading into 2020, we'll start to see a shift in the wrestling business, and things will change for the better. Because right now, it's just like, it's garbage. The WWE side, at least. It's just, it's arguably the worst it's ever been. Like, I used to say, like, WWE was not that bad compared to 93 and 95, that whole period. But man, like right now, I'd kill for the Mantar. I'd rather go back and watch Men on a Mission. I'll go back and watch Adam Bomb. Like, I'd rather watch that stuff than what they're putting out right now, despite all the good wrestling. And it's nothing wrong with the talent. WWE has one of the best talent rosters they've ever had, maybe the best they've ever had. But how is it that you have so many talented guys, yet the product is just so unbearable to watch? To the point where I'd rather watch the Godwins, because at least then WWE cared about the fans and they weren't just trying to make as much money as possible. Like, every week WWE went out there and they tried to put the best product out there that they could. And they got lucky with the creative juices flowing. They caught lightning in a bottle with Steve Austin, and then they caught lightning in the bottle with The Rock. But then once they got big again, when the Attitude Era kicked off, they started changing again. WWE started disregarding what the fans thought, and it just got worse and worse as each year progressed. And the more money they make, the less the fans mattered. And we've come to this point now with this Saudi Arabia show. All right, so that's my take on the WWE Super Showdown 2019. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed watching it, Please spread the word, tell a friend, and stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest. I will see you guys.